Good morning, everyone, and welcome to another edition of The Danny Show. I'm your host, Daniel Cody, and this is where I give commentary and reviews on all things wrestling. Before I go any further, I want to send a special shout out to the new subscriber, Ivy Lenigan. I hope I said your last name correctly, but thank you so much for your subscription. Now, let's get down to business. Today is October the 30th, 2021, and October the 30th is Rated R Day because today is the birthday of the Rated R superstar Edge. So, that being said, ladies and gentlemen, I'm doing a special tribute to him with my top 10 picks of Edge's greatest matches, my favorite Edge matches so far. We start off with Edge versus Brock Lesnar at number 10. It was a great match. It was actually Edge versus Brock and Paul Heyman. And whoever got pinned, and if any one of them got pinned for that matter, Edge will become champion. This was a great match, in my opinion. It really was. It took place at Rebellion 2002, I believe, in the continent of Europe. Hopefully, nobody gave another hellish plane ride. But either way, it was a great match. If you haven't seen it, you got to check it out. It's really good. And of course, despite the fact that Edge didn't win, Edge would get the last word by spearing Paul Heyman, who had a lot to say last night about Brock Lesnar being fined $1 million. Jeez. I think Paul still has feelings for Brock, especially since secretly he's still his advocate. So, moving on to number 9, a match with Edge versus Christian at No Mercy 2001 ladder match. Now, this match was great, and it was a great build up because you have two guys who made their careers making the ladder match famous in the tag team division, and now that they broke up, they were going to wrestle each other. The match was great, it was awesome. Now, I kind of feel sorry for Christian because Christian hurt his groin twice. The first time they fought on top of a ladder and he fell and hit himself in between the legs with one of the step racks. And then, not to mention, Edge hit Christian in the groin with a chair as payback for what Christian did at Unforgiving 2001. This match was a match for the Intercontinental Championship, and fun fact, we saw a lot of ladder matches in 2001. I mean, a lot. TLC and ladder. You had the Royal Rumble 2001. You had TLC WrestleMania. You had the SummerSlam Hardcore match. You had Edge and Christian in a ladder match. Who else? That's only four. But it seems like if you look back, 2001 had a heck of a lot of ladder matches. Really did. But either way, moving forth, that match was very great. Edge would win the match after the concerto and become once again Intercontinental Champion. And that was where he started getting his single push, just like Christian was getting. So, moving on to number 8. Edge at the Royal Rumble 2021 of this year. That was a great match. Edge went the distance. It started with Edge and Randy Orton picking up where they left off in their rivalry after Backlash 2020. But this match was great, and Randy Orton tried to pull out a sneak one, but it didn't work at the end. Edge went the total distance. The last year, Edge was coming back for the first time to wrestle in 9 years, and 1 year later, after having hellacious matches with Orton, he was able to return and go the entire distance. Why he is not champion yet? That is questionable. But hey, we got to make Roman Reigns great, I guess. But that match was also good. So, Edge winning the Royal Rumble in 2021 earlier this year was great to watch. Excellent. Moving on to number 7, we have Edge versus Mick Foley in a hardcore Falls Count Anywhere match at WrestleMania 22. Luckily for me, I have the DVD, which means I get to see the whole match. I got to see the whole match in the brutality, the blood, the thumbtacks, and of course, the fact that it ended with Edge spearing Mick Foley through a flaming table. If you have this game right here, then you know that WWE has a showcase on this particular game where you can relive the match between Edge and Mick Foley and relive the exact moment where, thanks to an assist from Lita, Edge speared Mick Foley through a flaming table. Both men were bleeding profusely. It was a great match. And fun fact, that match would go on to win Match of the Year in 2006. Moving forth to number 6. That same year in 2006 at Unforgiving in Toronto, Canada, Edge's hometown, Edge would have an incredible ladder match with John Cena, which makes the next match on this countdown. Edge versus John Cena at Unforgiven. It was a great, great match. And fun fact, unless the one with Chris Jericho and Benoit in that four-way tag ladder match was not TLC, this was the only TLC match at the time that Edge would go to lose. And even though he lost this match to rival John Cena, it was still great, and those two had an incredible rivalry, which made this match the best. And of course, this was one of the times where Edge was a fan favorite despite being a heel. But when you go to your home country of Canada, you get support, just like Brett did in 1997. But he was international. So, great match, even though Edge did not win, being AA'd, it was called something else at the time, but being AA'd through two tables, John Cena would win that ladder match, TLC ladder match. But it was still great on both men's part. Moving forth to number 5 is Edge versus Eddie Guerrero on an episode of SmackDown in San Diego, California, September 26, 2002. Now, I actually already covered this match with Eddie Guerrero when I did a top 10 countdown of my favorite matches involving Eddie Guerrero a couple of weeks ago for his birthday. So now we're here for Edge's birthday, and that same match is on the countdown. And like I said in the last one for Eddie, it was a great match. I already covered the highlights, but I will say this, if you haven't seen the match, you can pull it up on YouTube. WWE has it in full length, and when they're not pulling up the same videos that they did a couple of months ago. I don't know why they do that. But either way, they have the match and they won't take it off and upload it later, another year. This is one of those matches that is full length and there to stay. You got to pull it up. It is great. Edge versus Eddie Guerrero, September 26, 2002, episode of SmackDown. You got to check it out. It was awesome. Edge would win that match, by the way. Moving forward to number 4. This match, I found this one very entertaining for two reasons. Kurt Angle versus Edge, Judgment Day 2002. Thankfully, I was able to see this because a friend of my mother's recorded this for me when I was 7.5. I was almost 8, but I was still 7 3/4. I saw the match. It was very epic, what made the match special is two things. Number one, it was very epic. We saw the best of Kurt Angle's moves, the angle slam. We saw the best of Edge's move, including the spear. But it was a roll up, if I'm not mistaken, that would get Edge the victory. And I actually covered this pay per view in a review from the past a couple of months ago for the summer of this year. As we geared up for Hell in a Cell, I covered Judgment Day because it had Jericho versus Triple H. But this match was entertaining because number one, it was epic. Number two, it was hilarious in the ending. Kurt Angle lost the match, which meant he had to get his head shaved. So he would end up trying to run away and hide. Edge would chase him through the back. Kurt Angle tried to find a way out and turn the tables so that Edge could get his head shaved. But it wasn't to be so. Eventually, Kurt Angle would get his head shaved bald. And, of course, the fact that the fans were chanting "You're bald" instead of "You suck" made it even more hilarious. I was done when they started chanting "You're bald," because keep in mind the "You suck" chants were starting to come out for Angle. Now it was the "You're bald" one. That was hilarious. And the way Kurt was running out of the arena when he was awakened to the chant, he was like, I was done. And I kind of feel funny making fun of Kurt Angle for being bald, and I just gave myself a haircut. But moving on, number three, and it's ironic that this match should be number three because it is a triangle ladder match between Edge and Christian, the Hardy Boys, Jeff and Matt, and the Dudley Boys, Devon and Bubba Rayona Dudley. And in a humorous matter, I totally do not endorse Rayona videos, but I call Bubba that because of his reputation in the early years of his Attitude Era wrestling days. But either way, great triple threat match. This triple threat match was so good because they brought the chairs and the ladder match in the tables into this ladder match. It would inspire them and Mick Foley to make a tables and ladders and chairs oh my match at SummerSlam of that very year. But to WrestleMania 16, this match was great. This also would be a bar setter because it would be the first triple threat tag team match to ever happen. And what better place to do it at than at WrestleMania? It was awesome. Of course, one of the highlights being Jeff Hardy giving Bubba Rayona Dudley a swanton bomb through the table. But of course, Edge and Christian would win that match, pushing Matt Hardy off the top of the ladders onto tables. That match was great. If you haven't seen it, you gotta check it out. It was awesome. Of course, the match that they would have at TLC at SummerSlam was also great. I think Jeff Hardy and Matt Hardy should have won that match because it was their hometown. They should have booked them to win that match. But either way, it was still a great match. And the TLC match at WrestleMania was also great. Edge and Christian won all three of them. I think Jeff should have won, the Hardy Boys should have won the one at SummerSlam 2000. But hey, nonetheless, the Triangle Ladder match at WrestleMania 2000 is my number three pick, with Edge and Christian winning. Number two is the recent Hell in a Cell match between Seth Rollins and Edge, Hell in a Cell Crown Jewel. That match was great. There was a moment where I thought Edge was down and out, but he wasn't. This match had great build up because you have the fact that I thought it would be in favor of Edge. Yes, Seth Rollins has defeated Dean Ambrose, who we now know in AEW as Jon Moxley. Yes, he had that controversial, most hated match of all time inside Hell in a Cell with The Fiend. And of course, the match he lost against Kevin Owens thanks to Chris Jericho. So, yes, Seth has 3 matches, Edge has only had one. But that one match was against the master of Hell in a Cell, the king of the Devil's Playground, The Undertaker, one of my all time favorites. And anytime you go face to face with The Undertaker inside his domain, it affects you. So that's what made me think Edge had the advantage. And I was right. I usually don't make predictions, but that time I did. It was a great match. There was a moment where many people thought Edge was down and out with the super kick to the face with the chain wrapped around Seth's boot. But thankfully, it wasn't to be so, and Edge settled the rivalry, stealing Seth Rollins' curve stomp for the victory. Before we move on to my number one pick for Edge, here are a couple of honorable mentions. TLC SummerSlam 2000, TLC WrestleMania 17, I apologize. WrestleMania 18 versus Booker T, and of course, I believe Edge versus The Undertaker at TLC. Those are my honorable mentions so far. Not to mention a losing effort, but a great losing effort against Roman Reigns at Money in the Bank of this year. Now, with the honorable mentions being gone, let's get to number one, which is Edge versus Randy Orton at WrestleMania 36 at the empty Performance Center Last Man Standing match. Now, I know what you're thinking. The match at Backlash should have been number one. But I can't let, but it's Edge Day. It's the Rated R Superstar's birthday. And in tribute to Edge, I can't let the number one match he had be the one he lost. It wouldn't be right. So I picked the next best match that involved him and Randy Orton, and it was Last Man Standing. It was epic. It was brutal. It was like Peter Griffin versus the Chicken because they fought all over the building. Kind of like, excuse me, kind of like Johnny Gargano and Tommaso did. Nonetheless, it was an amazing match that came about because Randy Orton betrayed Edge and then struck his wife with an RKO. Excuse me. Match was awesome. There was a moment where I thought Edge was crying as he went for the concerto to defeat Randy Orton. Nonetheless, it was a great match. Edge would win the match, becoming the last man standing. So, that's my top 10 picks. Which one was your favorite? Let me know in the comments section below. Give me some feedback on what you thought was a great match between Edge. What's your favorite? Let me know what you think in the comments below. But that's all the time we have for today, and I'll be back with another review on all things wrestling. Have a great Rated R Saturday, folks. See you soon.